are allowed to speak, you can put your hand on you can put your hand like this. Then we will notice that you need to be unmuted and you want to speak. Not this hand, but look at my video. I put a hand from your Zoom. The hand comes from the Zoom, not live hand. So that's one instruction. And then nobody will be allowed to speak during the meeting. No questions will be entertained during the meeting, whether you raise your hand or you don't. Those will be entertained when question and answer session end up. At the end of that question and answer session, we'll entertain those questions which has not been presented to the embassy officials during that time of Q&A. So time is short. We have too many questions. Some of them are very common questions. I have briefed them. So I'll present them as one question. If it is OCI question, that will go to OCI. If it is a visa question, that will go to visa question. And everybody who put these questions to me, I have reviewed them this morning carefully. And so please bear with us. We are going to have very interactive session. So now I will request our MC of the today, Mr. Rajiv Kamal, to take it over from here. Rajiv.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. Good evening, everyone, and namaskar. I'm Rajiv, and your host for today's event. It gives me immense honor and privilege to host this event today on behalf of our organization, NCAIA. NCAIA, or National Council of Asian Indian Association, is an umbrella organization for many Indian communities and societies to mutually support and strengthen our fellow brothers and sisters in the US. And as Dr. Gupta has already stated, please note that all the participants will be muted when the talk is in progress. The talk would be followed by a question and answer session for which the audiences are encouraged to share their queries through chat box. I have seen many of people have already started that, and I really appreciate that. So all such questions will be collated and presented by our coordinator, Mr. Gupta. And also, during the last 10 minutes of event, audience will get a chance to speak up and ask their queries themselves as well. And to do so, you have to just raise your hand feature in the Zoom, and it's very easy. You have to click the icon participants at the bottom center of your screen. And when the participant window is opened up, you have to click raise your hand icon. And that's it. It's very simple. It's done. Now, without taking much time, I'll set this off by introducing our president, Ms. Naina Desai. Ms. Desai is newly elected president of NCAIA, and she has been living in Greater DC area. She has volunteered, served, and headed on multiple Indian communities for more than 12 years. Naina ji.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. Namaskar, everyone. I am Naina Desai, president of NCAIA Washington Chapter DC. On behalf of NCAIA, I express my greetings to you all. We are happy to help large number of our community members today for this important session. The program has been arranged by NCAIA with our Indian Embassy officers. Mr. Harish Kolasani, National President from Chicago, also with us. We are live from Washington, DC area to help our community for better understanding of documents needed when you travel to and from India. So please enjoy this session. And like everybody said, if you have any question, raise your hand, and have a nice evening. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Naina ji, for your kind words. Moving along, I would like to invite our chairman, Mr. Sunil Singh, who will introduce our keynote speakers for the day, that are the embassy officers. Mr. Singh is one of the founding members of NCAIA and two-time chairman of NCAIA as well. He is businessman by profession. Mr. Singh, please.
Thank you, Rajiv ji. I just want to let everybody know that we have 4 officers from Embassy: Anurag ji, Community Affairs Minister; Dr. Jaideep Nair, Minister for Consular Affairs; we have Binayak Rao Chauhan, first secretary, first passport, OCI, and miscellaneous consular services. And last, most important one who does a lot of work for us is Naresh ji. And he is Naresh Kumar, who is the first secretary for visa. Two of them going to speak today in the beginning, Anurag, both ministers, one by one, and other two will answer the questions, and Jaideep ji will help them. The first, I would like to invite Anurag ji to say a few words, and then Dr. Jaideep Nair after that. Anurag ji.
Thank you, Sunil ji, and thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's a program with finite time, so I will not like to make too many elaborate comments so that the time is properly utilized for that. So I wish this program all the success, and if Sunil ji permits me, so I will request my colleague Dr. Jaideep Nair for his words, and thereafter we can start the session. Not hold.
Thank you, Anurag ji.
Namaskar to all of you. I'd like to first of all quickly thank NCAIA and all the officials from NCAIA for arranging this with us, in coordination with us. And I also thank Anurag and Vinayak and Naresh for being here. And Anurag and Vinayak and Naresh are the foundational pillars of this consular and visa wing. They are doing all the hard work, so they will be answering your questions. From what I quickly looked at, most of the questions seem to be largely related to OCI issues. So that will, of course, be answered. I just have one point to make to everyone who is either logged in today, or if you can pass on the message to whoever else is interested, is that, I would encourage, as a matter of principle and as a suggestion, that everyone who can should regularly consult the website of the embassy and of the service provider VFS. Every possible guidance, regulation, instruction, advice is available there. I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof method, but please always go through the guidelines available. If you still feel there is some gray area, there's some confusion which you're not able to resolve, please feel free to contact any one of us in the mission to try and help you resolve the problem. But we try our best to update all the information regularly, as regularly as possible. So just make that a kind of a habit to regularly look at the guidance there. And I don't want to take any more time. I thank you all for giving us this platform. And I pass it on to the MC for today to start with the questions which have to be asked. Thank you.
Dr. Gupta, over to you, sir, please.
Okay. Hello. Kripaji, can you please unmute me?
We can hear you. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Well, Dr. Jaideep Nair ji, Anurag ji, we thought actually in this session, first you guys will provide us some outline on update on the different kind of visa. That was the goal for this meeting. But the questions will come later, because if you can focus on OCI, what are the requirements, what documents are needed, then many of the questions will be answered by itself. So I humbly request if Vinayakji or your good self or anybody from Visa Wing can update us on different kind of visa, especially emergency visa these days is cancelled, especially VSF working, and CKGS is gone, and there are some questions on that also I have in my question box. So if you clarify before we going on the questions, that will help us greatly to understand better. And many of those questions will be answered once you provide some highlights on OCI card, what is the requirement, how much time it takes, what is the fee requirement, because many of them are not used to go on website. So, and then on emergency visa, as you have announced that emergency visa has been cancelled and you are issuing in emergency only entry visa. So just provide that information, then I'll come up with the questions. Is that fair enough? Yes, please.
Joginder bhai, what we are waiting for now?
I'm waiting for the embassy officials to give us some highlights on different kind of visa, then I can bring the questions. That's what I'm waiting for.
Why don't you unmute me? Gupta
Yeah.
ji, you can start your question now, in my opinion, and then they will elaborate in that.
Okay, all right. I'll do that.
Thank you.
If that's the way they want to go.
कृपा ने हमको म्यूट कर दिया था, मैं बोल ही नहीं पा रहा था.
चलिए, अब आप अनम्यूटेड हैं.
Okay, if the initial idea is that we give a brief information about the existing practice about OCI or visa, then I did not speak because I was muted for a while. But since Dr. Gupta has requested information on the visa related things, and since it offers a multitude of information, I'll request my colleague Naresh to start, and then I'll take over for the OCI related things.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yes, good evening to everybody. Thank you for organizing this. On the visas, I would say that exactly about a year ago, because of the COVID pandemic, the visas were suspended for India. Not only for India, but several other countries also had suspended travel to their countries. But Government of India, keeping in mind the community needs and large number of diaspora, have relaxed travel to India. It started in the middle of last year, and now almost all kinds of visas except tourist, medical, and electronic visas are suspended. All other visas have, the ban has been revoked, and anybody having a previous valid visa is good to travel. For example, if somebody has a tourist visa or medical visa, they cannot travel. At present, unfortunately, some of the travelers still reach the airports and are denied entry by the airlines. For example, somebody has an entry visa, business visa, employment visa, student visa. They are good to travel. And for the benefit of our diaspora people, with entry visa whose visas have expired, or they have a tourist visa and which is suspended, we are helping them for the last 1 year by giving them emergency visas, and the turnaround time by the embassy is just 24 to 48 hours. This is from my side. If any specific questions are there, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, so I guess that since I have received the questions from all over the country, from East Coast, from South, from North, from New York, everybody is questioning about one thing: is this consulate has independent jurisdiction to issue or deny visa, or embassy here in DC has to interfere in that? That's first question.
Okay, you can give me a few more questions also. I'll answer one by one.
Okay, the question about the OCI card, some questions I have received.
Dr. Gupta, may I interfere here? Because I am answering the, at present.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just if you could sum up the visa related questions first.
Okay. So first question is about the detail on the OCI card filing in two situations. One situation.
Visa.
Dr. Gupta, if you could ask the visa first, and then my colleague will.
Okay, sorry, I take it back. So what is the situation with the emergency visa?
He just told you.
Joginder bhai, why don't you forward all the question to them and let them pick it in one answer? They can answer 5 different
all right,
questions.
so I will put together a few questions same time.
Gupta ji, can I speak up the question that I received from some of the audience?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay,
got
Naresh ji,
questions.
I got two questions from our audiences through the email yesterday, and one person was really in distress. She has applied for visa last Friday, emergency visa, because her father has died, and all she got was a list of documents, and that too was received on Tuesday evening. And she wanted to know what is the meaning of emergency when she has to wait 5 days in case of death. So she wanted to know what is the right way to approach so she can really get the emergency visa in such cases.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all for now. Thanks.
Okay, I'll answer. As my senior colleague Dr. Nair mentioned, you know, it is not to put the blame on the community. In the time of pandemic, if you are planning to travel to India or for any other country, just be a responsible citizen and just check the guidelines for that country. And for our website, we have clearly indicated the full guidelines. People don't need to inquire. We don't need to receive an email. Just go to the website and there is a full step-by-step guidance, what you are supposed to do first, two, three, four, five. And somebody has doubts about that. They do not know how to proceed. There are email IDs indicated. There are telephone numbers indicated. If you are reaching the embassy, some other email ID or 90% of the callers are calling my reception, where after 6 o'clock there is no response. Only it goes to the emergency line. So my feeling is that people are not reaching the correct place to find answers to their queries. And as I mentioned, for Washington DC area, because it's not that we are looking after all the consulate, but Washington DC area, I can promise you the turnaround time is same day, 24 hours, 48 hours, maximum is 3 days, subject to the applicant submitting us the required documentation. And with regard to the query from Dr. Gupta about consular jurisdiction, we request the applicants, if they are residing in a particular jurisdiction like New York, Chicago, Houston, they should be making the applications with the respective consulate. However, in suppose somebody is resident in Houston or San Francisco and is visiting their relatives in Washington DC, and some emergency had happened in India, we welcome them and we help them facilitate their visas in Washington DC without insisting that you go to SFO or Houston to take their visa.
Well, that's what I have guided people, those who have been calling me, that if there is an emergency, you can always come to the Washington DC, fly out, and they will issue you. Because I know one case which came from Nashville, and I was working with Vinayak, and this lady was issued visa immediately as soon as they come to Washington DC.
Yes.
The question which here about again on the visa about, so you, as what you said, tourist visa and emergency visa. Emergency visa is not now cancelled. In place of that, you guys are issuing entry visa or tourist visa?
Tourist visa is still suspended, as well as the medical visa and all kinds of electronic visas. So anybody having a tourist visa cannot travel to India. They will need to have an entry visa, which is issued on an emergency basis.
So the people, those who have 10-year visa on their passport, at this time they cannot travel.
No, they cannot travel. Because
that's the question I have.
90% of the people with 10-year visa are tourist visas.
Okay.
Naresh, Professor Gupta, can I intervene in between? This is Anurag, Minister Community Affairs. I just want to mention a couple of things for the benefit of everybody. I think the first point which was raised was that whether the consulates have a jurisdiction to issue visa or they have to have an embassy permission. So please be advised, there are 5 consulates in the United States, 5 Indian consulates in New York, Atlanta, Houston, Chicago, and San Francisco. All consulates are independent in terms of issuing visa, including the emergency visas. But as Naresh has pointed out, only in case you are traveling from one place to another place within the United States, and God forbid if there is an emergency, you can approach the relevant consulate or the embassy for issue of emergency visa. But that should not be the regular practice, or you should not encourage people to do that. Normally, they should apply in their respective jurisdiction. All things are mentioned in all the websites of the consulates. As Naresh mentioned, the step-by-step approach is there on how you can do that. There are emails, there are contact numbers which are given. In case you are not able to go through that, they will you can contact them, they will guide you for that. Plus, please follow that. The additional thing that I want to mention also is that many a times we are seeing cases here where people are going to India and they are not aware of the requirements. The queries include that I have got both the vaccinations. Do I need to get the RT-PCR test done prior 72 hours prior to departure? So in this regard, please be advised and advise everybody that that's a mandatory requirement to travel to India. You need to have a negative RT-PCR report within 72 hours before your departure and obtain an online clearance from the relevant portal that your application has been accepted and you are exempted from institutional quarantine. But quarantine at home is still applicable. Different states in India have a different protocol for quarantine depending on how the situation is evolving. It is similar to what is there in United States. As you go from one state to another, that is where you will need to have a protocol. So wherever you are going, it is my sincere advice to everybody that please find out what is the position there, what are the quarantine requirements, what are the things, so that once you land in India, you don't face any problem. And as mentioned by Naresh, I think multiple questions are coming. The existing tourist visas, all existing tourist visas, e-visas and medical visas as of now are suspended. So that suspension means that you cannot simply book the ticket and travel to India on the strength of these visas. In these cases, if there is an emergency and for that emergency you are applying for the visa, you will need to approach the embassy or the relevant consulate to issue you an emergency visa, so that on the strength of that you can travel. I mean, I just thought that I will make it in between, and sorry, Naresh, I intervened in between. Please go ahead.
Okay, one more, Naresh. Dr. Gupta, let me add one more thing. I just want to answer the question of there is a 5-day gentleman didn't get visa. I'm trying to help a lot of people. What happening is a visa generally they get within 24 to 48 hours. They don't need to approach me or anybody. Only problem happens when they doesn't have all the document necessary. What is the emergency? That they have to have some proof of emergency, and there are the other document needed that they have to complete properly the application. I believe we don't have to do anything within 24 to 48 hours. They will get the visa. And Rajiv ji, when you ask the question, you ask that person whether he has completed the application. I believe there's some problem in his application. Let us know if you need any help, and we can help too.
Sure, I'll ask the person in case they need additional help. Thank you.
So the question now comes on about the visa. I think all the audience participating here have got the answer. Most of the question I have on that visa and 10-year visa and passport. Question come to the OCI card. Now there are two important questions which I know of that, but the question is that somebody has a new passport and his OCI card is on the old passport. They have to carry both the passports, right? Or they have to renew their OCI. That is the case of under 50-year age. That is the question.
Okay. Now I will respond to the queries related to OCI. First of all, thank you, Dr. Gupta, for earlier sharing with us a number of questions, many of which I feel are representative in nature. So what I am doing is I will be talking about it also, and I will also be adding them in the chat so that you can read comfortably and understand it better.
Okay.
Now, I'll start with the first question about should you be carrying the old passport or not. I'll suggest that the requirement for reissue of OCI card is as under: from 0 to 20 years of age. Every time your passport is renewed, you must get your OCI card reissued. Now, someone who received the OCI card in the 20s, at least a day after turning 20, that OCI card can be good till the time the person turns 50. So during this period, 20 to 50, you do not require to carry the old passports. You simply carry the OCI card and your current passport. Similarly, once the individual has crossed 50, you have to get it reissued one last time and it remains good for life. Once it is done, you do not need to carry the old passport at all. So by definition, if your OCI card is within the acceptable limits, you don't need to carry your old passports or the U visa which was stamped on that. However, what happens is that because of several reasons, COVID and other logistical compulsions in the past 1 year or so, many individuals have not been able to get their OCI cards reissued. Now, if your OCI card has not been reissued, then legally you will not be allowed to enter India. However, considering the COVID related difficulties, the government has agreed that the applicants will be given some relaxation in this regard, and only those people who are seeking a relaxation, that is, they were supposed to have reissued the OCI card but they did not do so for any reason, when these people are traveling to India, they will be carrying their existing OCI card, they will be carrying their current passport as well as the previous passport which is associated with their OCI card. Even by carrying this thing, the relaxation is up to June 30. So the suggestion is, if you intend to travel to India after June 30, or if you are going to stay there beyond June 30, we will recommend that you get the OCI card reissued before you do the travel.
All right, there is a situation, Mr. Chauhan, Surinder Chauhan has a question about problem with his application for OCI card. He has submitted, I think this question you have, I sent it earlier, and he has been issued the USA number, reference number also. And then lastly, he got back his passport without any recommendation or correction or something. So how he can deal with that?
Okay, I'm happy to announce that the matter has been taken up and VFS has responded to him already. And I was told that he's satisfied with the response.
Okay, good. That's good. So I'll move on. Another question.
Yeah.
This so that has been taken care of, correct? Now there's a question which you have already answered, but I think Surya Prasad ji has requested this. What are the current documents needed for travel to India by US citizens?
It is essentially your valid US passport and the approval to travel to India. The approval to travel to India could be in the form of a valid visa about which Naresh has already spoken, or your valid OCI card. If your OCI card is yet to be reissued to suit the requirement as per rule, then you also need to carry the old passport up to June 30.
I have got another same situation that this person is saying that he has submitted an OCI card in lieu of PIU application on 27th of 2018 through CKGS for my son, and he has not heard anything.
Oh yes, I have seen that. I have responded to him in a private message saying that he can pass on those details to me over email and we will have it examined.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. And then I think you have answered this question. So there's one question somebody posted me, I don't know. They say that VSF is losing passport. Is that true? That's the question I had.
If somebody has lost a passport, please ask them to contact the embassy and we'll have it examined.
All right, I'll do that. Another question coming out here from Mr. Ranganathan. He said that he submitted his OCI card. I think you have responded to that. So next question is, why this visa suspended for 10 years, the guys those who have 10-year visa, why it is suspended? That's the question.
Dr. Gupta, in view of the COVID pandemic, all the governments in the world are restricting unnecessary travel. This is the reason why the tourist visa has been suspended by the government of India. But people of Indian origin or our diaspora requiring to travel for emergencies, we are issuing them visas. It is that we are not open for tourism as yet.
Okay. Now, this is something I don't understand, but you can help us or help the applicant who is putting this. The VSF is charging $2.84 per minute when you talk to them. Is that true or just wrong information I have?
It is $2.48,
Yeah.
not 84.
Okay.
Okay.
So
as
why
per,
they are charging?
yeah, as per the agreement with VFS, they are allowed to run a helpline whereby you can contact them. The first 5 minutes of the call are free, but subsequently, if the call is to continue, they will be allowed to charge the fees from the applicant.
So as you mentioned that OCI card holders can travel up to 30th June. What happens after that?
Okay, if somebody went to India and stayed put and does not have the OCI card reissued, technically the person will not be following the rules of the government. Now, the reason for the individual to do so can be anything. He may have any kind of a reason or a compulsion. In such situation, we advise the applicant to reach out to the foreigners regional registration office in whichever state or city they will be, so as to reach out to them and say that this is what they intend to or this is what they have done, and the FRRO will help them in regularizing their stay beyond June 30 or they're coming back to US. But then again, if there is some possibility of these people having some time at their disposal, we strongly recommend that they get the OCI card reissued here itself in order to avoid any inconvenience there.
Now, I think, have you talked with this Chandrasekhar case, which is a medical emergency, have a doctor certificate? He sent me this, he's from Atlanta, I think, and this guy is not getting his emergency visa, so-called entry visa,
Driving
to
license.
go and see the parents.
It could be a specific case related to consulate in Atlanta, but
Yeah.
if it is sent to us with specific details, we can forward it to the consulate and have them examine it again.
Yeah, that's what was his intent from his email note. I have noticed that, so I will advise him at my end that yes, you should contact embassy and get this issue resolved. All right, so thanks for so far. Now I have this question. I think you have answered, and the person who has requested this question, I am 55 years old now. My OCI certificate of registration, which was issued in 2010, when I was 45 with me. My US passport, which was issued in 2009 with OCI visa, has been lost. What should I do in that situation?
Okay, I will take this as a general question and let me elaborate the provisions here.
Please.
A number of queries come to us, especially people who got their OCI card in their late 30s or early 40s and are now past 50. What happens is that, like initially said, if your OCI card was initially issued under 50, if you have the same passport, let us say you got your passport at the age of 45, at 46 you got your OCI card made. So your passport is good till the time you turn 55. The same OCI card and passport you're holding, they're current. So you can continue to use the OCI card till you renew your passport at the age of 55. That's one part. Second category, somebody who was who obtained a US passport, let's say at the age of 41, got the OCI card at 42. At 50, the passport was renewed. Then he must reissue the OCI card past 50. Now, in the chat, I have received a query from Suresh Pattipati. that if someone who's 49-year-old already has OCI card, now got new passport which will expire in 59, what happens? The person should get the OCI card reissued because his OCI card is not associated with the current passport and he is past 50. So he should not wait till turning 59 and get the OCI card reissued.
Jaginder bhai, there are three people who are raising the hand. So we should give them
No,
chance
we
to
will
talk.
take them. We will take them after all the questions are done. We'll take them after all the questions are done, as we decided early. When we are done with the questions, we'll take them one by one. Right? We have put that in our logistics. So I have a question another for Naresh for you. My son is a US citizen and we renewed his US passport last year. He turned 6 and we are planning to travel to India this year, 2021, around June. We cannot renew his existing OCI in time. Is there an e-visa we can get for a short term and alternative to travel to India?
He will, there is no other alternative. You either have an OCI card issued if you have time about 6 weeks, or else they can make an application for emergency visa.
Okay, I'll advise them. So he can also apply for e-visa for
No, emergency visa.
emergency visa. Sorry,
Dr. Gupta,
emergency
first
visa.
thing I said that all electronic e-visas which are issued by email are suspended by the government.
Okay. Another question here is also related to OCI, I think. Can I apply for, this is from Vijay, can I apply for Indian passport renunciation and apply for entry visa to attend siblings' wedding at the same time in person at New York Embassy, because we are very short on time? Is that question clear?
In order to have an emergency visa, we are considering, emergency visa for weddings in the immediate family. The entry visa is primarily for people of Indian origin. How do you prove that you are a person of Indian origin? By way of providing a renunciation certificate. So if you do not have a renunciation certificate, that means you have not surrendered or cancelled your Indian passport, and you are having two passports, US passport as well as Indian passport, which is illegal. Therefore, we insist that you surrender your Indian passport, even if it was cancelled, even if it has expired. Technically, you are supposed to surrender your Indian nationality before we can consider you for visa.
What was this question coming from Anil? He says, I have to supply for reissue of my OCI after attending age 50 years. I think this question, Anilji, has been answered. And so I will move on to another one.
Dr. Gupta, if I suggest, this forum, I think you should be using for broad guidance of the community. For specific questions, we are always available on the email.
Okay.
If you can focus, devote your time on the guidance to the people, it will be much better rather than on the specific queries.
Well, you know that this is a very touchy issue for our community. You know that this visa issue is, and people suddenly make their plan to go to India. And in this forum, I wanted them to understand what is the requirement for you on your behalf as a.
No, this is my suggestion. If you wish to continue like this, you can continue. Since you are.
No, I think these are the questions I have, and which has almost responded by you kindly. And thank you for that. If I have any questions, chat box.
गुप्ता जी और क्वेश्चन है तो पूछो, नहीं तो ओपन कर दो सब लोग.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to my chat box.
Before opening to everybody, I'll suggest that whoever has raised the hand, let us give them chance to talk, and officers can answer.
I'm going to chat box.
Can I please talk?
I'm going to chat box.
Yeah, go ahead, Premji.
Okay. Respected officers of the embassy, here are my questions. Number one, when we apply for OCI, we submit the naturalization certificate of the US, we submit the old passport from India that we have already renounced, and we submit the US passport. Okay. Now, The Indian passport name and the naturalization certificate names don't change. They're all given the same way. They don't abridge it. When the passport is issued, the naturalization name, if it is very long, like my name is Virinji Prem Kumar Virinjipuram Swaminathan, they've made it Prem Kumar V. So that V is not seen in the Indian passport. Now I got my application has been returned saying go submit a proof because your passport names are different. Can you please take cognition of the fact that the middle name, when it is shrunk by the American government to a single initial, as long as the naturalization certificate and the Indian passport are both tallying, you should not be holding up applications. Is that a reasonable request? I can't go and prove anything more. I've given you all the 3 documents. And today VFS has sent me a letter saying these names are not tallying. They will not, because American government chooses to abridge a name and I have no control over it.
Okay, let them answer.
Okay. In this regard, what our position is that the renunciation certificate is essentially based on your Indian travel document, which is the passport. So the renunciation certificate will carry the name as it appears on your Indian passport. If there are some very specific cases, extremely long name being shortened by the American authorities, I think there ought to be a declaration explaining that situation, because in some cases, probably it may be cut and dried and straightforward. In some cases, we've seen instances where people add a surname, people choose to have minor tweaking in the name. And once we are to use it in the OCI card, which has to match with the US passport, we ought to be very sure, and we have to enter it in our records that the Indian individual with a certain name is issued an OCI card with a different name. Now that difference could be just addition of surname, it could be shortening of a middle name, but it ought to be very clearly documented. And in most of the cases, since it is the VFS which is not authorized to allow it or disallow it, they will have to follow the standard procedure which has been set by us. So which is where you come across this situation. But you can bring such cases to our attention, and then we can have it examined appropriately.
Okay, Sudhir Solipuram.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One, I recently got a new passport. I'm US passport. I'm over 50, so I got a new OCI. But they did not ask for my new passport, so I don't have a stamp on the new passport. Does it require, or do I need to go send the passport, or?
No, sir, it is not required. What happens is that we do not paste the universal visa, which was initially started. That is not required. And that being the reason, if your OCI card is updated, we do not even require the old passport to be carried. So it is good that you carry your current passport and you carry your current OCI card. You don't need to worry about it not being stamped on your passport.
Okay, thank you. Just one more question. My daughter also got a new passport. She just turned 21. Does she? I heard somebody saying 20 years. Does she need to get a new OCI also?
Anything above 20 years is in need of getting the OCI card reissued. Once that is done, it is good up to 50.
Okay, so she has to get a new OCI then.
Okay, next is Sudharajan.
Okay.
I think in the chat box we have a lot of questions about OCI card, renewal, 50-year age, above 50-year age, children OCI. And I think Naresh has answered all those questions. So I think in chat box, what I see here, if there is no other question, visa, he explained very well. Anuragji has also focused on think what requirement is for you to travel to India, even if you have visa. We have heard about 10-year tourist visa, which we used to have is not valid anymore. So you take entry visa. So these questions has already been answered. And I have here some question which I read from the chat box, and they are seems to be same, which has been presented over and over about VSF and about OCI card and about their validity and June 30th. All those questions have been answered. So now I think I will request anybody has any other questions, I request our MC to request the raise hand as I suggested like this. I will put my hand. You can see it that you can raise hand like this in the Zoom.
Not this.
Okay,
there are
Dr.
four
Gupta.
people already in
Yes, sir.
line. Let them
Sure.
speak. So now
Okay.
Sudharajan.
Hold it.
Yeah, hi. I'm sorry, I'm coming in late. So entry visas are not accepted anymore, even if they are valid, right? US
No,
passport.
it is acceptable. It is acceptable.
Oh, we can see. One of my daughters lives in Kosovo. She has US passport, but with a current valid 10-year multiple entry visa. Can she get the ticket for May to travel to India?
Ma'am, multiple entry visa and entry visa are two different things. When you say 10-year multiple entry visa, it is essentially a tourist visa with a 10-year validity and multiple entries permitted. Entry visa is a different category of visa, which is essentially meant for people of Indian origin. The emergency entry visa, which is talked about today, is issued these days. If for any reason you had it last year or prior to that, and if it is valid, it can be used. But if you are saying 10-year multiple entry visa, it is tourist visa that is suspended.
So the 10-year multiple entry tourist visa is not valid for travel.
No.
That is correct.
Okay, so we have to apply for the emergency visa. And when you apply for the emergency visa online, is there a particular date you have to travel within certain time?
No.
See, our visas are issued as our government does not issue visas with the future dates, unlike some other countries. So if your visa is being issued today, it will be valid from today for the period for which we have issued. Like these days, we are issuing for 6 months. So if you have a travel plan the next 3 months, our advice would be make an application 2-3 weeks prior to departure, not 3 months in advance.
Why not?
Then because we are issuing visas for a limited duration these days. So if you are traveling after 3 months and if I issue your visa today, so you have already wasted your 3 months.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to go only for a month, like all of May or something like that.
This call you have to take. If you wish to take today, and if your stay is within those 6 months, you are good.
Okay, and it takes about a week to get the emergency visa?
Depending on your location. In Washington DC, we are issuing in person. It takes 2 to 3 days. But our consulates, where the geographical locations are, people cannot be traveling 500-600 miles. So they are submitting their applications via courier and getting it via courier. I believe if you send by courier, the visa issuing and getting it back usually will take 7 to 10 days at least.
Okay, can we go in person in Houston to get it done? Because
No,
my daughter
in person because of the COVID, in-person applicants are very limited who are in real emergencies like death in the family. Then only we are allowing people to come in person. Otherwise, it is by post.
Yeah, thank you. Next one is Akhila Gade.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Just a minute, sir. I have a question, chat box, very short question. What visa do I need to transit through New Delhi airport?
See, I have already responded this person on the chat box. See, we rarely come across people asking for transit visa. During this COVID pandemic times, I need to ask this person what is the purpose of transit visa and ask him to send an email to us.
Okay.
Thanks.
Go ahead. Who was asking questions?
So should we?
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. I want to first say thank you to the host and thank you for the person answering the questions. Thank you so much all for your time. My question is, OCI visa extension has been happening till June. Do you foresee that this extension can go on till December 31st as well? That is my question number one. And I will ask a follow-up question once I have an answer to this.
Okay, the answer to the first question is I don't know.
Okay. Now, if I have to go in person in Chicago to renew my OCI because I've heard passports are being lost, again, I don't have a confirmation, but I'm only hearing. Is it possible if I can take my son's passport and also the old OCI card and get it done hand to hand renewed?
No. No.
It's not possible.
No. I just want to intervene here. Every consulate has its own style of functioning. We do not set the guidelines of how to function in the embassy. The rules will be the same. How they process the applications is it something they decide themselves. So as far as I understand, each consulate has its own style of working. So you will have to check with the Chicago consulate whether they will be open to you going in person or not.
Sir, just to add to that, the in-person application is entertained depending on the emergency in different places for visa, not for OCI.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. Whether can I ask the question?
Can you hold on and call the name one by one? Otherwise, it will be missed. So, can we request one by one if you don't mind, please?
Guys, please let's wait for your turn. The next in the row is Akhila ji. Akhila Gade, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Akhila. We recently got a US citizenship, and once we got the US citizenship, we have to renunciate our Indian passport. And once we renunciate the Indian passport, we have to get an OCI or an entry visa. I have my own sibling wedding in June. So me and my husband and our kids, we wanted to attend that wedding. So can we get an entry visa for my family? It's my own sibling.
I would recommend, since you are traveling only after 3 months time and OCI process only takes about 6 weeks. So if you take an OCI, you will never have to take visa again for India.
Actually, sir, we are going to get our citizenship only at the ending of March.
These questions, reach out to us once you have the US passport in your hand, and you have to begin this process with the surrender of your Indian passport first. After you surrender the Indian passport and you have been issued a renunciation certificate, and then you can take a guess on the timeline, whether you have a time to go for OCI, or if you don't have time, you can go for emergency visa.
Okay. Can I apply both together, sir? Renunciation and OCI, can I apply both together?
It is
possible. As of now, the collective application is not entertained. It could be considered later, but as of now, we want the renunciation process to be completed, and then we accept the OCI application.
Okay. So for my immediate sibling wedding, me and my family can attend, right? We get an entry visa for that, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Akhila ji. The next in the queue is Mr. Raman. Mr. Raman, please go ahead with your question.
Thank you for this excellent show. My question is very simple. What is the current lead time the consulates are having for issue of a new OCI card? And second question, reissue of a previously issued OCI card?
Okay, the answer is 6 weeks and 2 weeks, but there is a caveat. The caveat is once the application reaches the consulate or the embassy. We do have instances where, for any reason, if the application is incomplete, then it gets stuck in the VFS, and until the time all the papers are completed, it will not reach us. So once it reaches us in 6 weeks, we will be able to issue a new OCI card, and we take about 2 weeks or so to reissue the OCI card.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Purti, you are the next in the row. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll try to be very quick. I have 2 questions. First one is that if my passport is expiring, so in order to apply for passport, what is the process now, considering that we are not allowed in go in person? That is first question. And second question is, I really appreciate you guys telling about the tourist visa is being suspended, but the question is that my parents are planning to visit from India and they are Indian citizens. Even that, is that also suspended?
Okay, I think in the chat box, I have sent the link. I'm assuming that you're asking about an Indian passport renewal. If it is the Indian passport renewal, I just put in this link on the VFS where you can get all the relevant details about the process. We don't accept it in person. It has to be done by courier. And the other question was about permitting your relatives visiting the US on the basis of their existing visa to the US. I think the answer is yes, but we are not officially in a position to say that it's for the US authorities to confirm.
Got it. And for the first one, I did see like you have to fill 2 forms. Is that so? Like one is for the passport website and then another for the VFS and then post it. Is that how it is?
The VFS website form is essentially to gather the details so as to act as an intermediary between you and us. So the passport application form is filled in on the government website. The VFS website will get your details related to your address, collection of the payment, and generation of shipping labels.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was really helpful.
Thank you, Spurji. The next in the row is AP. AP, please go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate everybody's having this forum and everything. My question is really regarding people who are busy or unable to fill out the application because of lack of English or having a hard time using the VFS website. Is it possible that they can use a third party like a travel agent to do the work on the behalf and submit it to VFS or the consulate?
Yes, there are 2 ways to it. Currently, VFS has started offering an optional service whereby you can approach them and they will help you fill in the form at a fees. The fees has been fixed at US dollar 19.95. You can also take help of whoever you feel will help you out. As far as we are concerned, after the form has been filled in and the document requirement have been fulfilled, it has to go to VFS with the payment and all the necessary requirement. So eventually, after the form has been filled in, the process remains the same. There is no separate channel after that.
Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Rajat. Mr. Rajat, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, team, for all the great questions that you're answering. Was there an email for the officials that were helping out today, like Vinayak ji, Naresh ji, Jaideep ji, etc.? Where can we get those emails from? Was it somewhere in the chat that I may have missed?
Oh, we put it in the chat box.
Oh, you have put it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, next in this, yeah. Do you still
No
have more
other question, please. If anybody has question, raise your hand.
Yeah, still the next person in the queue is Sami Challa. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, sir. My question is like I got OCA card in 3 years back. Now I am 50. So I'm going to India in May. I'm coming back on July 2nd. I'm turning 51 on June 30th. So should I have to renew my OCA card?
Sir, if your current passport is endorsed on your OCI card, so that is if your OCI card contains the same passport number which you are using now, then there is no rush. You can continue to use this OCI card until your passport expires. If, however, after getting the OCI card, you have already renewed your passport, then I suggest you get it reissued, especially because you will be going before June 30 and returning afterwards.
Right, but my passport is not expired. So
if it's the same passport, then you can continue to use it till the time you renew the passport.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Challa. The next in the row is Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am existing like OCI card holder, and next month I am turning 50, and actually I got my US passport this month, so just like 2 months before turning 50. So I think I can wait until my next renewal, right, for the new OCI, or should I go for the OCI because I got the passport renewed before I turn 50?
No, that does not matter. You got OCI card with one passport and then you renewed your passport. If that is the case, after turning 50, you should get the OCI card reissued.
Oh, irrespective of when my US passport gets renewed. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nitin. You are the next.
Hi, thank you. So a quick question regarding power of attorney. My parents are visiting me in US on B1, B2 visa. I've read in forums that, they cannot take a power of attorney if we can, if they visit the consulate. Is that true? Or can they just go in and get a power of attorney done for a real estate transaction in India?
They can get it done. As to visiting the consulate, I'll say that please check with the respective consulate about their conditions on visiting in person. It could be done by mail. You could ship it and then get it back by shipping.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Nitin. Mr. Ajay, please go ahead.
This is me?
Yes, that's you.
Okay. I have OCI card. Do I need a permission to go to India or don't need any permission?
You don't.
No permission.
Mr. Venkat Manohar, please unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey, sorry, you might have already covered. Okay.
All right,
Is
thanks.
PIO is still valid for kids born in US? PIO card is still valid or no?
The PIO card will continue to be valid till December 31 this year.
Okay, so is there a restriction between handwritten and computerized? I don't find the differentiation. It's printed, so.
No differentiation, handwritten or otherwise. It will continue to be valid till December 31 this year. And we recommend that whenever you are not exactly in a rush to travel to India, you get it converted to OCI card.
Okay, yes, sounds good. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Prasenjit.
Yes, hello, good evening. Thank you for arranging this. One quick question is, I do not have my renunciation certificate. I couldn't find it. I don't remember getting it. And also the last passport that I had and did the renunciation that time. So I cannot even locate that passport, the Indian passport. So I'm wondering if I can get a certificate from the Indian consulate somehow, from the Washington DC consulate.
I will suggest you go through the guidelines related to renunciation process in detail. I have already shared my email address. I'm going to share it in the chat box once again. If there is a specific situation whereby you simply are not in a position to match your requirement to whatever has already been said, you can write to me in detail, giving details of whatever India related, Indian origin related proofs you've got. We'll examine it and then we'll respond to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Ruchir Ghosh, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. This question is for Vinayakji. Vinayakji, namaskar. My question is, you are over 50 and you got your new OCI card in your possession, which is tied to your current US passport, but your US passport gets renewed. So my question is, since your OCI has the old passport number, do you need to carry both the passport when you travel to India, sir?
Okay, the answer is, if you got your OCI card when you are already over 50, then there is no need for you to carry the old passport. You can use the current passport, you can use the existing OCI card, and it is good for life.
Thank you, Vinayakji. Thank you.
Only those people who needed to get it reissued but could not do so will use the same OCI card with the help of the old passport up to June 30. In other cases, if your OCI card is current as per the requirement, no need to carry the old passports.
Thank you. This helps.
Next, Rajiv.
Mr. Aran is the next, then Mr. Simha. Mr. Aran, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for arranging this. I have submitted my OCI card in lieu of PIO for my son in 2018. I haven't received any update. I called and I sent an email to CKGS, VFS, but still now no update. Almost 2.5 years. What I supposed to do right now?
I have just given in my email address. You please reach out to me. We'll try to help you out.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So your email ID will be in the chat box?
It is there, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Rajiv, anybody else in line? Because if
Yeah,
not,
there are two people.
My humble request from everybody is, if the question with respect to OCI card or visa, I think those questions has already been answered profoundly. they have put every possible effort to make you aware what kind of visa, what OCI card is, 50 and 50, above 50, below 50. So if there is no other new question, may I request to...
This is Hema Rachmani from Michigan, Detroit. I have a very important question because we received your notification very late. So by the time I shared that with people, they say it was already 5:30 in Michigan Eastern Standard Time. So they're asking me if you can share this recording with us. So
Sure,
we
we'll
can
share. We'll share to
this
everyone.
so many
Please just
people.
drop in your email. We'll share.
Drop him an email to that email address, and embassy official take it up and resolve the issue, whatever you have. But if no more question, I think it is 6:10, and I will request Rajiv ji to invite Shashi ji for vote of thanks.
Okay, so Gupta ji, I can still see a couple of hands. Should we ask them or should we continue?
If there's no hand, then that's what
Go
I...
ahead, ask them,
please.
Mr. Prem Kumar. Mr. Prem Kumar, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. My question, the embassy officials is VFS are allowing only 5 minutes for this free consultation to fill up an OCI card. Not only you can call me dumb. I have two other friends who are all very intelligent guys. We all took more than 20 to 30 minutes of chat time before we could complete that application. One of the problems being the browser that was recommended was not even working when we were trying to do it, and we lost a lot of hours in that. So can you please increase VFS chat time from 5 minutes to 20 minutes at least for the OCI process? It's certainly 5 minutes is inadequate because it's not a straightforward application process. There are 3 different processes to use to complete that application. It's disconnected.
Let me clarify something here. The helpline run by VFS is not to assist applicants filling the application minute by minute. It is not the purpose of that. So please don't use that helpline for filling up the form. I understand it takes time and several times you may have network related issues. So those of you who intend to take assistance of the VFS in filling up the form, please avail their value added service which charges $20, $19.95, and they will assist you in filling up the form.
That is not shown anywhere because we are only going in there. It says 5 minutes chat time. I wish they put that upfront somewhere. That is.
Please check it. They have put it, and anyway, I will highlight it to them and make it even more prominent for people to access it. But it's there. I've checked it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, for rest of the participants, let me apologize because we are at the top of the hour and almost exhausted our time. So I really apologize for that. Embassy officers have already dropped in their email. So my request to you is, in case still you have queries, and I can see a lot of you have already, please feel free to drop an email to them for specific queries and not to the generic one, which has been already covered. Having said that, I will sincerely say thanks and express my gratitude to embassy officers who joined in to make this a huge success. And next, I'll request our officer, one of the, coordinator, Sasiji, to say a word of thanks.
Excuse me, I have a question, please.
Shashi,
Someone wants to ask something?
yes, Shashi, vote of thanks, please.
Namaskar, I'm Shashi Agarwal. I'm the Executive Vice President of NCAIA. I'm honored and privileged to present this thank you on the behalf of NCAIA. Firstly, I would like to thank our Community Affairs Minister, Anurag ji, for
You're muted.
We can't hear you.
Okay, let me start again. Namaskar, I'm Shashi Agarwal. I'm the Executive Vice President of NCAIA. I'm honored and privileged to present this thank you on the behalf of NCAIA. Firstly, I would like to thank our Community Affairs Minister Anurag ji for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us. I would also like to thank embassy officials to present this outstanding counselor camp, reaching out to the community with great and most valuable information on different visas on their issuance. My incredibly special thanks goes to Minister Dr. Jaideep Nair and First Secretary Mr. Vinayak Chauhan, who has been very proactive communication with event coordinator Dr. Yogendra Gupta. Let me congratulate all the participants for their support to the event. My thanks goes to Chairman Mr. Sunil Singh Ji for his cooperation and guidance through the process. Thanks to past President Mr. Kripa Singh, who very professionally managed the Zoom operation along with MC and host Mr. Rajiv Kamal. Thank you. This thank note will be incomplete without thanking our NCAIA President, Mrs. Naina Desai. My thanks goes to all NCAIA executive members, Vice Chairman Gopinath Durga Naidu, Senior Advisor Dr. Harshavrup Singh Ji and Dada Banik, Advisor Sukhpal Singh Dhanoa, and our National President Harish Kolasani. I would commend Dr. Yogendra Gupta and Rajiv Kamalji for running the question answer session as moderator so smoothly. This was an excellent, very informative program. With this note, over to you, Rajiv.
Also,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Naresh ji.
Oh,
Thanks.
yes. And thank you, Mr. Naresh Kumar ji. I think I missed your name. So thank you.
And Vinayak ji, who has been very cooperative throughout the process.
Yes.
And my very special thanks goes to Dr. Jaideep Nair, who is always open and for help for any community member, any issue comes up, he is always there to help us from day one. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
I have a question. My name is Swatantra Bitta. I have an OCI card and it needs to be renewed. I don't think so.
So what is the question?
My question is, I have an OCI card and I am planning to travel next week. And I just came to know it is endorsed with my old passport actually.
Okay.
So how to be added to new passport?
Okay, I'll answer this question quickly.
Okay.
If you are in the age group where your OCI card needs to be reissued, let's say you got your OCI card when you're under 50 and now you're over 50 and the passport has changed, yes, you need to get it reissued. I have already forwarded a link about the OCI reissue request, how it is to be processed from the VFS Global website. That's one part. Since you intend to travel in next week, you can travel with the help of your OCI card, existing OCI card, current passport, and the previously held passport which was associated with your OCI card together. But this you can do up to June 30. If you're returning before June 30, then it's good.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Kripa Singh ji, can we conclude?
Sure. I would like to thank you, our great officers, Vinayak ji, Nair Sahab, and Naresh ji, for giving this great information to all our Indian origin people. And it's really nice session, and we will contact you in future also. And I have a special thanks to these officers, because not only this session, I have been reaching out to them for many requests, and they are so nice and so prompt in solving the issue for the people of Indian origin. So thank you very much for this session and all the help you guys are doing, and you guys are providing a great help to our people on time. Thank you very much.
Sunil ji, you want to say something?
I just want to say thanks to all the community members for joining it. We had promised embassy, we'll have 100+ people, and we have 100 all. And thank everybody for supporting NCAIA. Thank you.
Thank you all for your great support, and it has been a good session, very educative, very productive. I hope all the participants have learned something new. what is their responsibility and how they can seek the help from the embassy once they are ready and prepare themselves what they want actually help from the embassy. I am sure that embassy officials are always ready to help the community as long as they are all correctly filing their documents. Help is also available. As you have seen so many websites here, you can contact anybody. Thank you all very much for joining this afternoon. Have a good evening. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank you.
evening.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you.